and welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and tonight, as you can see, we are going to be talking about Project Bread and their upcoming Walk for Hunger and lots of other stuff that they do. But before I begin, I would like to thank my crew and staff. We have Corey McNeil and Mike Duvall, who are staff members here at BCAT, and they do an amazing job along with their colleagues. And we have JT Marchand and Colleen Moore, who are volunteers here, and without volunteers, we wouldn't be here. So it's really nice to have them here as well. If you have any questions or comments for tonight's show, please feel free to call in at 781-270-9199. You'll see the number on your screen, periodically throughout the show. And if you have questions, comments, or suggestions about the program in general, or ideas for upcoming topics, please email me at talk@bcattv.org. And one last thank you. I would like to thank my husband, Paul, for staying home with the kids tonight. And Gwyneth and Evan, I hope you enjoy Daddy Date Night tonight, and I will see you tomorrow at breakfast. Good night. And now, I think all my intros are out of the way. I can introduce my two lovely guests from Project Bread, who will talk to us about their organization and about the upcoming Walk for Hunger and lots of other different stuff. We have Jacqueline Martinez.
Yeah.
And we have Gabrielle Farrell.
Thank you.
And both of you guys are in communications and public relations.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for giving up your evening to come
We're
to
happy
BCAT.
to be
Yeah,
here.
we're happy to be here. Thank you.
Yay. Okay, well, let's start out a little informally. And can you guys just tell me a little bit about yourselves, where you grew up, where you went to school, and how you got involved in Project Bread?
Sure.
Who wants to go first?
Sure.
Jacqueline.
So, Jacqueline, originally from Malden, Mass. So close by. I went to school at Worcester State University, and I studied communications and public relations. And from there, I got a job as a reporter. So I was always around town doing that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then I took a job as a community outreach director for a sports club. So I worked both with members and nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
So for members, I focus on promoting health and fitness. And then with nonprofits, it was kind of cool. I worked with donations and how to get people involved with health and fitness while giving back to the community. So I was really interested in that kind of aspect, so which led me to Project Bread.
Excellent.
So now I am doing public relations and online marketing as a campaign associate for the Walk for Hunger.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Sounds
that's a little bit
intense.
about me.
Thank you. And Gabrielle, your turn.
Well, I grew up in Mattapan. I was born and raised in Boston, and I went to high school in Health Careers Academy, which is on Northeastern University's campus.
Okay.
And then I gained a scholarship through the Posse Foundation, which then led me to Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania.
Excellent.
So I went away, and then I
One of the
came
seven
back.
sisters.
Yes, seven sister. And I came back, and I found Project Bread, the Walk for Hunger's communications position as an opportunity through Posse, because they have like a career segment to the entire scholarship. So
neat.
they connected me, and it was in East Boston, so the commute's not bad and the purpose is good, so I was happy to be
Gotta love
working
those
here.
mission-driven
Yeah, I love the
organizations.
missions. Yes.
Well, thank you again for coming, and hey, it's kind of neat that you got to find something close to home.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's jump into our subject. Can you guys tell me a little, one of you, tell me a little bit about Project Bread, what's its history, how long has it been around, what its mission might be, what's its mission, purpose, vision, all that important stuff.
So Project Bread started off with the Feet for Wheat, it was called, and it started in 1969.
Sounds very 60s.
Yeah, totally. And it started by Patrick Hughes and the Paulus Center, where 2,000 participants raised $26,000 together. And what's amazing about it is that they just literally saw the need for food and people who were hungry, and this all started in Quincy.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Where?
26.9 miles. So could you imagine the Walk for Hunger being longer than what it is now?
That would take me like 26 days to do.
Yeah, it was longer then, and it transformed throughout time.
Okay.
And Project Bread started as people saw that there was a need to continue this tradition yearly. So they said, we need a strong organization in place to make sure that this walk happens every year and to make sure that it's being prepared and positioned in a way that attracts more and more people.
Okay, so it started as the walk,
The Feet for Wheat. And
but you
it
guys
came
do
out
a
of that.
lot more now. What are some of the other projects?
So
that
right
you
now,
do?
Project Bread is the only statewide anti-hunger organization, and we focus on community-based meal programs. So we fund 430 in 125 communities here in Massachusetts.
Okay. Now, is that
And-
like through the public schools, or is it just community-wide, so like more than school-age kids?
For the community-based meal programs, we do work with children,
Okay.
also elderly, working poor. So we do
Oh,
touch upon
okay.
everyone who has in need and hunger.
Okay.
Yep. So we also want to work on public education and childhood and school nutrition initiatives.
To kind of end the cycle. Oh, okay. So Project Bread is just based in Massachusetts.
Right.
Are there partnering organizations outside of Massachusetts? Because it seems like this is a common theme throughout the United States is, the issue of hunger and, even tying into obesity and all these other health risks, health factors. So do you ever partner with anyone outside of Massachusetts, or right now is the organization kind of still just based in Massachusetts? Do you know?
We're only based in Massachusetts. We know that there is a problem across the United States that, everyone's struggling with hunger. However, I think that some people might gain some sort of level of appreciation for that when they donate to Project Bread. They know that
Okay.
their money's staying in Massachusetts.
Good
Sometimes
point.
it's hard to trace your donations, but Project Bread likes to pride ourselves on our stewardship of people's donations to make sure that it's affecting the people.
I never thought of
here.
it that way.
Yeah.
It's like, I live in Burlington, donate to Project Bread, and then my money goes to California. And I
you
don't
just
see
might not
that
know it.
connection.
And even
so-
you can get a connection from Burlington. One of our funded agencies is in Burlington, People Helping
Oh,
People.
Cool. Okay. And do you just partner with them for the walk, or is it like a special project, like the education programs,
Yep.
or?
So what the walk does, on average, it raises $3.5 million.
Wow.
So throughout the year, that money is divided across the state for different agencies. So these agencies can apply for a grant, and that's how we get involved.
Oh, okay. Now, is it this? Does it tend to be the same agencies getting the grants year after year, or do you see like a turnover at all? Or have you not really looked at that?
Well, some agencies continue to apply and they continue to receive because there's a need there, and especially if it's a grave need. Although we always do consider new applicants that come through because there's a need across the board. So even if it's a matter of us not giving as much to point A, where we could just sort of like try to balance it out so everyone gets something, it changes year to year.
Okay.
Just depends on who applies.
Okay, so they have to reapply every year in order to get the funding. Okay. How significant is hunger within Massachusetts? Because if you don't
Right.
see it on a daily basis, you might not
There's
think
a lot of
exists.
hidden hunger here in Massachusetts, but there's actually 750,000 people right here in the state who are,
Wow.
yeah.
Who are food insecure.
Now, okay, use the term food insecure. What exactly does that mean?
It's great you asked that, Linda. So food insecurity is basically when you do not know where your next meal is going to come from. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
So we go to work and every day and we might not know which place we want to eat at, Subway or...
Yeah, I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts. Do I want the jelly donut,
Right,
or do I want...
It's totally like that for us, but like for someone who wakes up and they have children, when they're debating when it's
Do I
coming
pay
around
for heat, or do I pay for
Exactly.
groceries? Do I pay the
Exactly.
electricity, or do I pay for groceries?
Yes, so that's sort of what we refer to as food insecure.
Okay. I totally lost my next question because it's not on my list, or it is on my list. Thinking of where does my next meal come from? I remember hearing like stories, it might just be urban legend, but I could go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and get a meal for my family of 4 for less than I can at Market Basket. Do you think that a lot of people have that mindset where they end up getting fast food or unhealthy options for them
That's a
And
great
do you think it's
question, yeah.
leading to like childhood obesity?
Of course. I know Mattapan, where I live, was noted to be one of like the towns in Boston that was known for obesity. Like obesity was popping up everywhere there. And it's true. It's sort of like, say if there's a single parent who has 4 children and, you know, she's trying to prepare for dinner that evening. Does she go to Burger King or McDonald's, someplace where she can afford to have meals for all of her children? Or does she go to the supermarket, Stop and Shop, and pick out veggies and everything that might total up to a little bit more, especially when you're living on minimum wage?
Right. And she probably doesn't have a lot of time to spend 30 or 30 minutes or an hour to fix dinner.
It. Yeah, so it's definitely obesity is definitely tied to poverty and hunger, like directly. And it's really an ugly and sad thing that you would have to make that decision. And, you know.
Yeah, in our Project Bread, it's really great that you asked that question because we believe it's not simply being full, but being healthy. And there's a big difference between eating McDonald's and eating fresh produce.
Really? I would have never guessed. Well, French fries are a vegetable. No.
Potatoes.
Didn't like the Reagan administration, or when Reagan was governor of California, there was something about ketchup being a vegetable for the school system or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ancient history, I know.
Oh. But even when I was in Boston Public Schools, I went to like the Tumulty James P. You know, the Tumulty Middle School in Roxbury, and like sometimes you would notice which kids would like try to take extra meals during lunchtime. Like hidden, hunger is so hidden. So it's like you might notice who might try to put extra lunches in their backpack when we're being distributed.
So it will also be dinner tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like really sad to notice that as a child, and no one would address it. Like you know, it's a difficult topic to address. So that's why Project Bread really tries to focus on like, you know, public education. How do we address hunger? How do we talk about it? How do we help someone who's in need?
And how to, you know, not that I'm expecting an answer, but if you see somebody pocketing something that just, you know, because out of need, recent history is bullying in schools. So I can only imagine what that poor child is going through, you know, if other kids are noticing and then they start, you know, focusing and targeting on that kid. So
we want to give the people that we help dignity. Like, you know, it's not just a handout.
It's not a handout.
Exactly. We went across Massachusetts and interviewed so many people, and the common theme was we do not want a handout, we want a hand up. You know, it's sort of like teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime, as opposed to giving him a fish, he'll eat for a day. So,
I think you touched upon it a little bit, but how is unemployment related to hunger? Is there like a direct connection? I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Unemployment is directly related to hunger because if you're unemployed, you have no current flow of income, right? If you're reliant on unemployment checks that you might get from the government, it's not probably going to be enough for you to cover your living costs, healthcare, as well as
healthcare costs,
food, right? Because even like food expenses are rising, living is rising. Like you
everything's
know, everything's rising. So it's sort of like if you're staying here, and imagine if you unexpectedly get you know, laid off. It's hard, especially if you have children.
Exactly.
And you know, in Massachusetts, there's been a lot of like job opportunities, and like, you know, in terms of like the middle income range families, like there's been a lot of technical jobs that have you know, boosted up, while at the same time the people who are receiving like poor minimum wage is like they're staying at the same level, or if they are increasing, is at a very slow rate that they're receiving.
So they're going like this.
Exactly. It's like, you know, here,
but
like then exactly. So it's very difficult if you're unemployed.
Underemployment as well. People who are not working jobs that can, you know, afford a family.
Or they're only working part-time because they can't find something full-time. Or they're working a minimum wage job even though they have, you know, a master's degree in electrical engineering or something. How, again, we touched upon this a little bit, but I'm not sure if you want to elaborate on how children are affected by hunger.
Right.